Hello, dear friends of the early morning. Welcome to the Dark Unknown, a channel where every story chills you to the bone, and where even silence holds secrets. Here, we can feel what you feel as you travel through the darkest corners of the world. So, put on your headphones, turn out the lights, and prepare to dive into a new story. Tonight, we'll talk about 3 true stories that should never have been told. Dark tales marked by secrets of entities that may still be among us. Story 1: The Haunting of the Bell Witch. During my teenage years, between 2004 and 2008, my family moved to Santa Helena, a quiet little town in the Brazilian countryside. Everything seemed normal, until the day I was driving my father's tractor down a hill and felt a strange bump. When I checked, I noticed a line in the grass, like something had traced over ahead. Following that line, I found 4 shallow indigenous graves, covered with stone slabs. Anthropologists later confirmed they were colonial-era burials. But what happened afterward, no one could explain. That same week, our house was surrounded by unexplained banging on the brick walls. It happened every night, accompanied by the sound of running footsteps. At times, I felt something crushing my chest, like a heavy weight suffocating me as I tried to sleep. Night after night, the fear grew. One evening, as I let my dog Ginger out, we heard whispers coming from the woods. At first, they sounded like rustling leaves, but they slowly transformed into some kind of profane language. The air filled with the stench of sulfur, and Ginger started growling and lunged at nothing. I slammed the door shut, but then the violent banging began, shaking the frame like something furious was trying to break in. We spent the whole night locked inside, listening to the pounding until sunrise. Another time, returning home from soccer practice, I saw something sitting in the rocking chair in the library. It was a figure with long black hair, absorbing the light around it, like a human-shaped black hole. When I screamed, it twisted grotesquely and vanished through the wall and out the window toward the river. In the following days, the sightings increased. A woman in white appeared repeatedly near the river. She always vanished when approached. One night, while fishing with my cousin, we heard a shrill scream, a woman's, followed by the sound of something falling into the water. Our flashlights went out on their own, and the sound of something swimming toward us made us run in terror. That night, the pounding on the walls came back, louder than ever. Another time, a group of friends and I visited the region's stone landmark, a site tied to old rituals and legends. One friend mocked the stories and shouted, "I don't believe in the witch." A thick fog covered the field, the air reeked of sulfur, and monstrous noises began to surround us. Something massive moved through the corn stalks, and then a huge stone struck my back. On another occasion, I woke up inexplicably lying next to the 4 graves, as if something had called me there, or dragged me. After all that, no one in my family can explain what we went through. But I know one thing: there are forces in that place that do not want to be disturbed. Story 2: The Witch of My Great-Grandmother's House. My name is Sarah, and what I'm about to share still gives me chills. 4 years ago, my great-grandmother passed away. We were very close, and her house in the rural region of Parana was my childhood sanctuary. After the funeral, I offered to take care of the property. Everything was peaceful at first, until the 4th night. I woke up with a scream stuck in my throat. There was a dead coral snake next to my face. No signs of struggle, no wounds. Just dead. Later that week, while walking through the forest behind the house, I heard branches cracking. First behind me, then beside me, then directly in front of me, louder. I braced myself, but there was no one there. Instead, a massive spiderweb had appeared before me. And in it, an enormous spider. One more step and it would have bitten me. In the second week, things escalated. I began hearing a wheelbarrow crash at night, footsteps circling the house, and something clawing the walls. I grabbed a flashlight and shouted out the window, warning that I was armed. What answered wasn't human, a wrinkled face pressed against the glass, with enormous eyes and a breath that fogged up the window like a furious beast. The thing ran around the house, banging on the windows, doors, and walls. It lasted for hours. I froze, sobbing, until the sun came up. The next morning, there were no tracks. No scratches. Nothing, as if it never happened. When my grandfather came to get me, he said something that made my blood run cold. "It's good the land is being left in peace." Then he told me that his mother believed the forest was watched by hybrid creatures, children of witches unjustly condemned. Spirits that turned into monsters, guardians of that forest. He himself had once been chased by one, and never returned there armed again. Believe it or not. I'm not sure. But that thing was real. And one night was enough to convince me. Story 3: My grandfather's friend and the creature on the farm. This story was told to me by my grandfather, who heard it firsthand from a friend during the Vietnam War era. The man was from Minas Gerais and lived on a remote farm, no lights, no phone, completely isolated. One night, while one of the men went outside to use the bathroom, he heard an owl hoot, but the sound turned into a howl, then a horse's whinny, and finally a high-pitched whistle that chilled him to the bone. He came back and urinated on the porch, saying he didn't feel safe outside. Half an hour later, the dog started barking, wildly. Then suddenly, complete silence. When they went to check, one of the dogs was dead. Torn apart. Its tongue bitten as if trying not to scream. They rushed to the barn, where the horses were restless. Inside, they saw all the horses' tails braided, an ancient sign of witchcraft. Then they heard footsteps in the hayloft. 2 men climbed up, but found no one. No one they could see, anyway. That night, they all understood. A witch had visited the farm. And it wasn't the first time. And so, my dear friends of the early morning, we reach the end of another descent into darkness. Stories that leave scars on the mind. And question marks on the soul. Was it just imagination? Or something more? As you try to sleep tonight, know that we are already preparing our next encounter. With new mysteries, new suggestions, and perhaps, new truths. Don't forget, leave a comment with what you'd like to hear next. Like, share, and turn on the notification bell. Because here, in the dark unknown, terror never sleeps. And perhaps, neither do you.